Hello Turtles! Welcome back to Sarah Cat Monkey Bird and Indie Dog's Game Development Arena. Over the past 2 weeks, I learned a lot and continued moving forward with my indie adventure. Learn from my mistakes and processes to find out what may work in your adventures. New parts were ordered and received to build up the test machine with an AMD graphics card. Previous testing indicated many problems specific to AMD cards. This was mostly because NVIDIA tends to use magic to guess what is meant when deviating from the OpenGL standard instead of throwing an error. Several days were spent headbanging to fix these graphical issues, and what helped the most was creating a separate project with minimal code that reproduced the issues. An example, stripping out everything from the project except for a rendering of a single cube, some particles, the shadows, and reflections. This reduced the amount of scrolling around. In the end, the problems were fixed by using a special shader when rendering to the environment cube map that does not attempt to use the environment map. Ensure the environment map shader is bound when attempting to use it. The mirror render target was using it without binding it first. Ensure map buffer and unmap buffer calls matched up as expected. I cleaned up code around this area and it may have helped. Do not use all available memory from uniform buffers, which I was naively doing for my particles. Despite needing only a megabyte, it would use 534 megabytes on the AMD card. Whoops. After all the issues were resolved and cleaned up, the engine got an upgrade to have a default scene with sky, environment mapping, and shadows automatically managed and ready to use. This allows future projects to be created much more rapidly and automatically look as expected. While at it, I also refactored some networking API in TurtleBrains, which makes life easier for multiplayer projects to get developed. There are more high-level improvements to be added at another time. This network refactor broke the Rally of Rockets project because a ping value of 0 milliseconds was considered to be invalid. The new ordering of things allowed for a 0 millisecond delay on loopback address, and so now the project allows for this. April 6th was the Farewell for Now playtest for Rally of Rockets, which was the true test for the graphics work and engine improvements. Previous test feedback is how the problems were discovered, and in the latest test nobody seemed to have any major issues. Changing gears, I jumped into pre-production and planning stages for Trailing Breaks, my racing simulator. I reviewed several landing pages of existing games to find out what I liked and disliked to design my own. In hindsight, this was a waste of my time as I am not a proficient web developer, and just getting something functional was hard and time-consuming enough that design took a back seat. Go to trailingbreaks.com and check it out. Sign up for the mailing list if interested in sim racing. Track design began with placing lots of gray box objects around and very roughly tossing ideas into Blender. A quick layout was created which unintentionally looked like a track from another simulator, so I modified it further until I was happy. Then I started placing trees, walls, and buildings around as the grounds. It took a few hours of learning to import the track into Assetto Corsa, an existing racing simulator that allows for user modding. Doing this gave me a chance to drive the track and provided great feedback. The track was a bit too narrow, and without testing it now, I would have not known this for months. Adjustments are already in the pipeline and at this early stage are easy to make and much less time consuming. Since the last devlog entry, I worked more than 90 hours. To keep up with my projects, subscribe and click the bell icon for notifications. I also have a Patreon if you wish to provide financial support, although you can support me for free with a thumbs up and sharing of this video. As always, Turtles, until later, have a good one.